Hello everyone. The purpose of this short video is to go over what you need to do to complete the internship process and get set up to begin your internship next semester. We're going to go over the final documents that you find in the final session folder that has just been opened. So what's next? Everybody's at a different stage of obtaining an internship. Some people have been introduced, some people have been interviewed, some people have received an offer, and some people are still waiting to be introduced. When it's your turn, you'll be introduced to one or two sites, and you will then use your TU email account to send your resume and letter of interest. You must use your TU email account for this because hospitals and other health organizations tend to not open emails from people who they do not know due to the fear of malware and hacking. And once you do that, you'll be able to set up your interview with that site. So what if you send your email and they don't respond to your email? Well, first you need to make sure you're using your TU account because that's what they are expecting. If you did use that account, resend the email and copy me. Add some days you'll be able to interview with them. When you're trying to resend an email, you click forward the email and then send it to the same person, but make sure you copy me. At the top of the email, write something like I'm resending my resume and letter of interest in hopes of setting up an interview, and then give them the times. And then listed on this page is the example of what it might look like when you send them days and times. And finally, you should reattach your resume and letter because sometimes they do not go through when you forward an email. If you, what happens if they still do not respond when you send them that? You need to email me. If you copied me on the last email you sent them, I will follow up with them as to how long it's going to take them to set up an interview. Sometimes there's something going on at the site, like moving their offices or someone's on vacation. So I will probably be able to find that out a lot easier than you can. So what if you interview and you don't hear back from them? Ideally, at the interview, you would ask them what their timeline is for making a decision. That's an appropriate question to ask at the end of the interview. If you don't hear anything within a week, it's okay to send an email that says something like what's listed below. I'm following up for the blank internship. Explain why you're very interested and ask them when they'll be making a decision. It's okay to copy me on that email as well because it helps me stay on track of what's happening with each of you. Once you get an offer, when you get an offer, you're free to accept it, but before you accept it, make sure you fully understand the requirements and agree to the requirements. You're going to be able to see something called the acceptance form in Blackboard in the final session for this class, and we're going to look at it now online. So this is what the acceptance form looks like. The due dates are not your due dates. But there'll be something called an acceptance form. When you open it, it's 4 pages long, and we're going to look at each of the pages. This all needs to be filled out completely for me to accept it. So at the top, you can fill in the top for them. And then where it says, please highlight or circle the type of internship this is, you could fill this out as well. Is it a full-time? Is it a 3/4 time? Or is it a half-time? So full-time is 12 credits, 3/4 time is 9 credits, and half-time is 6 credits. It's important that that's identified. On the next page, it asks you to identify if it's fully face-to-face, hybrid, or fully virtual. Half-time internships cannot be virtual. So if you have a fully virtual, it must be 9 or 12 credits. Then it asks them to identify the hours. There's a place if it's fully face-to-face, there's a place if it's hybrid, and there's a place if it's virtual. It's important for you to understand that if you have a virtual internship, it does not mean you work whenever you want. It means that you do not go to an office. So that's really critical. They need to fill out the hours, and you need to make sure you agree to the hours that are here. This is like a contract. So this tells us some details about what your hours are going to be. Sorry about that. Third page, this is something they need to fill out. There's some things you could fill out, like if you told them you were taking another class. They would need to tell you if there's a criminal background check, if there's drug screening, if there's anything else required. Do they require specific immunizations? All of this is on the spreadsheet as well, but it helps. We need it all in one place. Then these are some other questions they have to answer. And at the bottom of this, both you and they sign it. And that's not there. So you both have to sign it. This doesn't have to be a signature. It can be typed. But you both sign it because it's like a contract. So for example, if you both sign this document and it says you're working Monday and Tuesday in the office and Thursday at home, virtual, and then something changes in the fall, we're going to go back to this document and say this was the agreement, and we need to try to stick to it. So this is a really critical document. When you submit it, I will be checking it. I will be checking it to see, do you have enough work hours in here? So I'll be looking at the hours they say you're working, and I'm going to make sure that the hours they say you're working will come to the correct number of hours at the end of the semester. Lunch does not count in those hours. So if you work 9 to 5, that's 8 hours. Only 7.5 of those count. So I do go in and I count the hours to make sure, based on what's on this document, you will have enough hours to finish at the end of the semester. You might be missing information, and you are not considered placed at a site until I have this document submitted and it's filled out completely and it's correct. The next thing you have to do, and this is what it looks like in Blackboard, a liability waiver. You have to download this, and this must be signed. It must be your signature. You're going to save it correctly and upload it. And if you can't upload it, if you don't have the ability to do that, you can take a photograph of it and upload the photograph. You cannot start internship without this signed. Most of your sites are going to also ask you to sign a liability waiver for them. This is your liability waiver for Towson. And then at the end of this section in Blackboard, there is a video. There's a section called onboarding, and there's another video in there that goes over what you need to do to prepare for internship. This is a critical section because in this section, you have to look at what the requirements are for your site, and you have to figure out whether you're going to do it on your own because that's what they want, or they do it for you, or if Towson's involved, because each of those areas takes a different approach. I am in WebEx throughout the next several weeks to meet with you if you have questions. The dates are posted in an announcement. And this is the first time you're doing it. It is normal to be a little confused. So please feel free to send emails with questions or to just drop by during my office hours that are virtual, my office hours on campus, or during our class time on most Thursday evenings. Congratulations if you've gotten this far. Good luck finishing all these documents, and I look forward to seeing you at internship next semester.